There we go.
All right. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from. Not anything about college yet, but just a little background information about who you are and where you're from.
Okay, sure. So my name is Miss Heller. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I still live there. It's about a half-hour drive here every day, not too bad. I lived in Philadelphia for most of my life, but my parents split up when I was really little, so my dad lived in the city and my mom lived in the suburbs, so I got to kind of go back and forth. And I really liked that because I got to go to a real nice school in the suburbs, but I got to spend every weekend in the city having fun and getting to know, what city life is like.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
I went to Temple University, although I started at Penn State. I only went there for 1 year. It wasn't really for me, so I transferred to Temple, which is also in Philadelphia.
What did you major in?
So I was very undecided for the first year, almost 2 years of my college. Eventually decided to major in sociology. Did that for about a year, and then changed to history, and ended up graduating with a history degree, having absolutely no intention of becoming a high school teacher. And I ended up having to go back to school to do that later.
And what are some things that you like to do now?
I love to travel. I probably will have some of you guys next semester for global studies. I really love learning about other cultures, other history, other groups of people, meeting other people, trying new foods, going to new places, getting to know different cities and different countries as much as possible.
Great. All right, so we're going to start off with our first question. So, Ryan, I think you have question 1, right? So can you ask her the first question?
All right. What was your most rewarding experience in college?
Okay. So I'm going to go on the less fun side and more beneficial side. I went to a meeting with an advisor when I was a freshman, and it was because I was undecided, and they said I needed to choose a major. And she said, well, what do you like? What do you like to study? What do you like to do? And I kind of just kept saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I was a great student. I always cared about school, and I had like a 4.0 GPA. I got A's in all my classes, but I kept saying, I don't know. And she said, well, you probably shouldn't be in college. And I said, how can you tell me that? I'm an amazing student. She said, why are you here? What do you want to do with yourself? And I kind of realized that it doesn't matter how much, yes, it's important that you do your work, always. But if you don't know what you're doing with it or what your goals are, you kind of get lost in the mix. And you have to kind of, eventually, you guys are still a freshman, you have plenty of time, but eventually figure it out and really set your goals high.
Great. Question number 2.
What is something that you regret from college and why?
I regret not getting more involved in programs. Even though I was a really good student, I kind of thought that was enough, and I didn't really do any clubs or any organizations. And then, when I graduated, I kind of didn't really have much to put on my resume. I didn't have much to put on my master's degree, my graduate school applications, and I didn't really meet a whole lot of people, especially because I lived in Philadelphia my whole life, so I already had a lot of friends, and I didn't really branch out and meet a whole lot of new people because I didn't get involved.
Did you commute from home, or did you live on campus? Or
a little bit of both. I lived near campus for some of it, and I commuted for some of it. And I did have a lot of friends that went to Temple. They were just people that I had already knew or that I met through, other sources. I didn't get involved in programs and meet people that way, and I wish that I would have.
Question number 3.
When you were in college, what made you want to travel?
Made me want to what?
Travel.
That's awesome. So I always wanted to learn, I always wanted to travel and see other places, but, it seemed really expensive and unreasonable, and I didn't know if I could do it, and I was a little scared. I thought, I don't know if I want to be away from my family for 4 months, and I really wanted to do a study abroad, but I couldn't find any friends who would do the same one as me or who were in similar programs. So I made a terrible mistake, maybe that's another major regret that I have, of not doing a study abroad. And I really, really wish that I would have. eventually, when I graduated and I didn't know what to do with myself, I didn't have a job, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I did a program where I could teach English in Spain. And again, I wasn't a teacher, I had no teaching experience. Anyone could do it, you just had to speak English. So I went to Spain for 3 months and I taught English, and I absolutely loved it. And I loved being away from home, I loved being in another country, meeting new people, trying new foods, all of that stuff. And it made me want to travel more and more in the future. And I ended up staying in Spain and doing part of my master's degree in Spain.
What was Spain like?
Spain was amazing. It was a whole nother world. I love traveling and getting out of America, but Spain especially is one of the most amazing places. People are so friendly, and we kind of just talked about this in my global studies class that I have some of you in. People are really different there, and it's not because there's something wrong with Americans. It's because, we're all Americans. We all kind of think the same way and do the same things. Something I talk about with all my classes is the hostility you guys have for each other. You kind of all come at each other. And I know it's funny, but sometimes it's not funny, and sometimes it hurts. And it's not like that in a lot of other places. You can kind of just talk to people on the street, and they'll be friendly and tell you where to go. They want to be your friend. They want to stay in touch. I still have so many Facebook friends that are from Spain and Germany and Amsterdam and all the places that I've been who said, oh, that's awesome. You're traveling. You're by yourself. You're teaching English. And they just kind of want to know you and want to share their culture with you so much more than Americans do. Here it's a lot more who are you? I don't know you, back up.
Question number 4.
What were your friends like and how did they impact you?
Okay, I had some great friends in college. A lot of them are still my friends now, but there are also people that I knew even before college. Most of them, I would say, were pretty good students. Some of them not so much. But I would say that a lot of them weren't joiners. So they weren't let's get involved in stuff. They were kind of too cool for school type people. So that kind of rubbed off on me, even though I was a good student. I never got involved because my friends were like, nah, let's go do this instead. Let's go, to this party. But there were plenty of parties, things that I could have been doing, socials and, frats and all that stuff that were through the school that could have, really helped me grow and branch out and become, more well-rounded, more experienced, stuff like that.
Right. Question number 5.
What was a challenging experience that you had in college that helped you shape who you are today?
Challenging experience. That's so annoying.
Yeah.
I guess deciding what to do was really challenging for me. I was so confused. I was a great student, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. At the time, I was being a high school kid, or recently a high school kid, I thought, I don't want to be in a classroom with high school kids. That's crazy. I had no idea that I wanted to teach. So it took me a while to figure it out. And sociology I thought was really interesting. Do you guys know what sociology is? Mm-mm. Not really. So it's kind of like the study of society. So it could be anything from the study of education, the government, it could be families. I took a class about families where you study how many people get divorced, when people start having children. You can think about how society works. And I thought it was really interesting, but once it came down to what kind of jobs I could get, it wasn't really what I was interested in. My one friend who did major in sociology and stayed in that field, she has a job analyzing medical exams to see which questions people get wrong and why those questions are more commonly. Stuff like that, and to me it was really boring. So it took me a long time to figure it out, but the one way that I did was kind of just trying things. I think getting experience, and you guys are all really lucky to be in a VOTEC school because you do get some experience in different things. Maybe what career area you end up in isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life, but the fact that you get to find that out now and know, all right, I thought I was really into nursing, but it's not really for me, at least I got to try. It definitely gives you some experience, so I tried to just have lots of different jobs, and I did. I worked in a lot of different places, and eventually when I taught English, I realized that I really liked teaching, that I'm great at it, the best. So, just kidding. Okay, that's no jokes. Okay.
All right. Question 6, right? Question 6. Is that it?
I have a
Five.
question.
Is it the last of the prepared questions?
Ahmad's got one? Or yours isn't prepared?
Oh yeah, no. So now we're gonna open it up just to some general questions. Go ahead. Ahmad.
If you like to travel so much, why didn't you want to become like the airport lady?
Okay, that's a good question. So, I wouldn't want to be a stewardess. I think that's what you mean, right? I wouldn't want to work on an airplane because that creeps me out. I hate turbulence, and the last plane I was on, I almost got sick because of the shaking. So I couldn't spend that much time on a plane. But I definitely do think about, I am a teacher and I love my job right now, but I don't think that I'll teach for the rest of my life. I think at some point I'm going to look into jobs that do have to do more traveling, maybe getting involved in study abroad programs where I can, get students to travel, set them up in their new place, volunteer programs, stuff like that, 10 years from now I hope to have a job where I can travel a little bit more.
So I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Of all the experiences that you had in college, can you tell us about an experience that really was difficult or challenging for you that shaped who you are today, like something that you took away from it or something important? And it could be challenging, it could have been something fun, but something that really had an impact on the person you are now.
My college years are like blanking on me here.
That tends to happen.
Yeah. Get old, older than I look. All right, let's see. School related? Should it be something fun?
It could be anything.
Okay, so when you graduate, depends what your major is, but for most majors you have to write a thesis. So you have to write, like an original idea that you support and back it up with research and evidence and stuff like that. So I was a history major at the time, so it's called your capstone class, where you have a class that's basically just helping you write this entire paper. And when we got there, the teacher the professor said, "This is what you're writing about." And I said, "What do you mean? This is my thesis. I don't want to write about this. I want to choose." And he's like, "Well, we're not doing it because last year there was just too many problems. People picked things, they didn't have enough evidence, they couldn't do it that way. So you're going to write about why America dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki." And I said, "I don't want to write about that." And he said, "Listen, sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do." And I was really frustrated by that. But eventually, I kind of talked to him about it, and he helped me make it my own. He helped me show that even though I didn't get to pick the topic, the way I wrote about it and how I argued about it and what I decided was, my own thing. And how I wrote and, what I did in the future was I kind of had to deal with things, what was given to me. You can't just make up whatever you want. You can't just have whatever job you think it should be or do things the way you want. Sometimes you have to kind of take something and make it your own in your own way. So it kind of taught me to work with what's given to me. You can't just get whatever you want. You kind of have to take what's there and fix it to how you want it to be.
Great. All right, any other questions before we let Ms. Heller go? Ahmad.
Did you play sports in college?
I didn't. Again, that was an example of why I wish I would have gotten involved. I was a cheerleader in high school. I ran track 1 year, and I did a couple different, I did ski club when I was in high school, but in college I was just nah, I'm good, and I wish I would have gotten involved. Yeah.
If you did get involved in college, do you think you would be a teacher? Do you think you would have been someone?
It's a great question. Maybe I wouldn't have been. I don't really know, because who knows, if I would have gotten involved, maybe I would have found some other path. I kind of wish I did more writing, took creative writing classes and got involved in, tourism and travel writing and stuff like that, because honestly right now I think about I wish I could write a book about all the places I've been on my own, or I wish I could write articles about the places that I visited, and to be honest, I don't really know what they're looking for or how to write those, even though I'm, a good academic writer. That's kind of so yeah, maybe. My brother just went back to school. He's going to Temple now, and the one thing that I said to him was, get involved. You have to join clubs. You have to, meet people and do things
Yes.
with the school.
That's my biggest advice to students always is don't say no to anything until you really try it. If you kind of want to do something, at least try it.
Isn't there clubs here?
Yeah, there are clubs.
There's lots of clubs.
But they don't announce anything.
They do.
There
Good.
was supposed to be a club fair, and it never happened.
Yeah. That would've been
But
better.
yeah, I recommend, starting right away in high school. When you guys fill out those college applications, I remember, it's saying, extracurriculars, and I wrote, cheerleading, track, and I was like, oh, maybe not what. And, I did those two things. So if you don't do anything, you're literally going to have nothing. And colleges really look for that. Even if you have great grades or, great behavior, they don't care. They want to see that you guys branch out, that you're well-rounded, that you have goals, that you are social and get involved in things.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Have you ever been on a cruise ship? How's it
I
like?
have. I don't love cruises personally.